come up with a better idea. I'm a genius. So, I'm going to talk about the Congolese genocide again. Because, like, for the project, it's like a presentation style. And I can't present because for some reason my name wasn't on the list to present. And also, I don't want to present in front, I didn't want to present in front of the class. Also, I wasn't there when they presented. So, I might, like, take a video of myself presenting so, like, I can, like, get that, like, grade or whatever. Anyway, that, about the Congolese, like, it's easier for me to, like, talk about it. Like, it's hard to write, but it's so much easier to talk about. So, let's just get into this. We're gonna start with my man, King Leopold. He was the king of Belgium. He was a very rich guy, loved his money, very greedy, and he wanted more power. And he thought the way to get power was through colonies. So when this explorer, what was his name? Stanley. This explorer named Stanley, he discovered the Congo. Well, like, he didn't really discover it. The Congolese people had been living there for years, but, he found it. And King Leopold found out. And he was like, I want that. So he paid, Stanley to go to the Congo to buy it for him. And it was like a written contract or whatever. So because the Congolese people didn't know how to read or write or speak that language, like their language, they ended up selling the entire country for like practically a few beads, like really nothing. Then it was King Leopold's, and King Leopold put together a like army, I guess, kind of, a group of like soldiers and stuff called the Force Publique, and they went in the Congo and they kept everything in check. They ended up kidnapping a lot of the Congolese and selling them to Europe through the slave trade for a while. And then rubber tires, they came out, and rubber was in high demand. And they found out that rubber was, like, the Congo was rich with rubber. So King Leopold had the Force Publique force the Congolese into harvesting rubber. And everyone, like all of them, all Congolese people were forced to harvest rubber, and they were forced into slave labor. Hi, Mimi. She's so cute. Anyway, they were forced into slave labor, and there were rubber quotas that they had to meet, and if they didn't meet them, they would be punished, or in some cases killed. If they were punished, they would be, like, there were lots of instances where, like, people, like, had to get punished because, like, they did something wrong or whatever. They went against the rules. But there was this thing called a shakot, which is, like, a leather whip or whatever. And 20 strokes would leave you a bloody pulp, and 50 or 100 would kill a man. And there was also Belgium, like, supplied the Force Publique with a certain amount of ammo in their guns, like the same amount of ammo as Congolese people were to be killed, so they wouldn't go off and use it to hunt. And because of, oh my god, my brain's not working. Yeah, to make sure that they killed that many people, they had to take the hands. They had to have the same amount of hands as bullets they used. So, a lot of times this caused like attacks on other like villages or whatever for hands, because that was the only way they could survive, if they gave them their hands. And they like didn't want to give their own. There were people who didn't have any hands, like none. And sometimes people had to play dead in a pile of bodies and lay completely still while their hand was cut off, and they barely survived. It was really rough. Anyway, that went on for a very long time. Well, not a very long time, but like too long. Later on, this man named Edmund Morel, he like, I'm not exactly sure what he did. He was like a bookkeeper or something for like ships, or I don't know, but he somehow figured out that he saw that what was going in to the Congo and what was coming out it didn't make sense, because the only things that went into the Congo were weapons and ammunition, and there was no money for the Congolese, and what came out was a shit ton of rubber. So in his mind he was like, oh, so the ammo's for the Belgians, the rubber's for the Belgians, what's for the Congolese? And he made a big fuss about that. He wrote like a huge fucking, like, he wrote like an article about what was going on. It wasn't just that stuff was coming in and stuff wasn't coming out. He looked deeper into it, and he had connections. People from Belgium would send him documents that showed more evidence against King Leopold, that this was genocide. This wasn't the amazing colony that he made it out to be. It was genocide. It was slave labor. It wasn't humane. They treated these people like dirt. He spent 10 years investigating the corruption. And after the paper came out about Leopold went into full, like, damage control. He showed the best side of the Congo. He went to the Congo, he brought, like, fancy people to the Congo and only showed the very nicest parts of the Congo. That was the first time he went to the Congo. And he paid off senators and politicians, and he did everything he could to make his name seem pristine, to try to erase all this negative about him. It didn't really work, because later, who was it? Joseph Conrad. He was a captain's apprentice on the Congo River, so he saw what happened firsthand. He saw the brutality and the violence and the just pure, like, he saw how unmoved they were by the death of a Congolese. It was nothing to them. And he wrote an entire book on it called The Heart of Darkness, where he talked about how these men, they didn't see the Congolese as human. They saw them as a shadow, as, like, nothing. Not human, not even animal. Just something that they can use property. And how they brutally murdered so many Congolese. And in The Heart of Darkness, he calls it a genocide because that's what it is. Anyway, in 1908, the Belgian government finally confronted all these claims, and the Congo was taken away from Leopold. Leopold still kept the money in Swiss bank accounts, though, so the Congolese didn't get a cent. Then the Congo moved into the Belgian government's control, and that it wasn't really much better. Like, the Belgian government still didn't really treat them like people. There was, the Force Publique were very much, like, the white men in the Congo were higher on the food chain than the Congolese. And the Congolese, like, that was wired into their brains. They felt that white people were superior. That was just how they were raised, how they were taught. Because these big, strong men that held your life in their hands, they were in power. They were the ones who had all the control. And you, like a Congolese person, had no power, had no say. They couldn't vote. There was no higher education for Congolese. They did make schools, but they weren't very good schools. And they taught, like, the whole of the culture was just centered around white people being better. And that was so, like, everyone accepted that. And, fuck. That's just so fucked up. And the Belgians, they were, like, boasting about, like, how great, like, they made the Congo. Like, how they fixed the Congo. They had schools, they had, like, hospitals, they had, I don't know, but they had, like, a lot more than they used to have. They had churches, they had medical clinics, and elementary schools. And the Belgians were boasting to the rest of the world about how they fixed this terrible rundown country. How they made it better. How they are superior to the Congolese. And how they are helping these needy people who can't help themselves, who need help of a stronger force, need help from the white man. And out of the 15 million people in the Congo, there were only 17 Congolese college graduates. In 1956, this wasn't, like, that long ago. Then there was a series, like, in, where was it? Algeria? Yeah, Algeria. In Algeria, the Algerians and the Afrikaans, they rebelled against their, like, the colonizers. And there were riots and rebellions, and it was pretty bad, gotta say. And so the Belgians got hella scared, and they just left suddenly. Like, they drew out of the Congo so quick because they were so scared that the Congolese would finally fight back. I couldn't really find much information on the Congolese after this happened. But up until the end of the Belgian rule, Congolese weren't allowed to vote. They weren't allowed to vote until they were left on their own. And I don't know how they're doing today. And I'm not going to look into it because I honestly do not have time. But I really want to see how they grew out of that mindset of the white man is better. Because they might not have. Because a lot of places in Africa are so racist. Like South Africa, there's a white population and there's a black population, and there is a very, very clear class difference. By the way they're viewed, by the way they're treated. It's just so disgusting and terrible. And it really sucks.